Terminal server is not designed for intense motion like video games. Again, this comes down to the fact that video games take a lot of graphical time, and on top of that, send usually very complex graphical images to the client, which most clients tend to be lighter as far as CPU and memory are concerned, so therefore can't render them properly. Terminal server is not designed for local USB device access. So if you wanted to actually plug in a USB device, such as something you're working on to develop, terminal server is not designed for that. There are some workarounds for some USB devices, such as printers, scanners, and file sharing, and articles on how to deal with those are available on our support portal at aquaconnect.net. Terminal server is not designed to replace laptops or power workstations such as Mac Pro. Again, if you want to have the ability to work offline, terminal server is not your choice. If you want to be able to do some super intensive application graphics, usually, again, terminal server is not designed for that. Terminal server can be used, however, if you have a Mac Pro or an Excerpt, to share out its resources. So if you're going to have more than one user run a complex computation on the server at a given time, you can go ahead and do that with terminal server, and it'll balance the computation across all the user sessions. And then as the users complete their computation, the leftover CPU power will actually automatically transfer and balance off to the ones that are continuing to compute. So there is some benefit to that. What terminal server is, terminal server will isolate users from one another. So it gives you the control to basically manage the users from one central location without having to worry about multiple disk images or multiple virtual machines or just even multiple machines for that nature. It gives you centralized control while isolating each user from one another. Each one gets its own clipboard, for example, or in the Mac realm we call it the pasteboard. Each user will actually get its own desktop and so forth. Terminal server is designed for security from data leakage. Again, terminal servers can be set up so the client, again, does not have access to any of the data. All the data and all the applications are running on the server, and so therefore the client can't walk off with anything. This is very useful for government agencies or high security facilities that want to prevent a user from being able to copy and walk off with the data, either maliciously or by accident. Terminal server is designed for secure logins. Terminal servers can be used with two-factor authentication. Take, for example, smart cards, biometrics, and things of that nature. Terminal server can support them, depending on the client. Some clients support it, some clients don't support it. Some clients interact properly with terminal server with the third-party connections, two-factor authentication. Some third-party vendors with their thin clients don't operate properly. Terminal server is designed to enable lockdown clients. You can lock down a user client quite a bit with the Workgroup Manager. Apple's Workgroup Manager can be used to control a user session. So you can even get down further into things like application filtering, allowing a user to run only a certain set of applications, being able to restrict what they can do in system preferences. Again, with access control lists on the file system, you can control what files and directories they can access. So the list goes on what you can control. Terminal server is designed to allow central administration. The goal of terminal server is to have one place that an administrator can go to administer the system. Terminal server can decrease costs. For example, your electric bill can be reduced as much as 80%. So for a company that spends about $1 million, for example, on electricity on the computers a year, that's 80% savings, meaning you're saving $800,000 right there. Now, I know a lot of companies in general are not spending $1 million on electricity, but a lot of large corporation enterprises, government sector, and so forth can. If you're spending even a few $100,000 in electricity bills for computers every year, you'll be able to save 80% of that by switching to a terminal server solution. A full terminal server deployment can save administrators time, such as when a client fails. We showed you how to install an application and have it immediately deployed to all the users. Well, one thing we didn't talk about is the clients. Because the clients basically, in essence, are displays, keyboards, and mice, when a client fails, swapping it out in a few minutes is the amount of time that it would take to basically change out a client during a client failure. The user would continue to operate. As a matter of fact, if you don't have that terminate when disconnect turned on, when a user client fails, the actual application they're working on, the data that they're working on, will continue to survive past the client failure. And when you get the client up and running again, they can continue to work from where they left off without any loss. In addition, thin clients in general have a longer life than workstations. Most thin client vendors give you a 5-year warranty, some give you a 10-year warranty, so clients on life cycles on the clients can last much, much longer than a workstation could. Of course, on the server side, you still need to worry about maintenance and things of that nature. And servers tend to have fault tolerance, such as mirrored disks, backup power supplies, backup power such as UPS systems, which translate into users having the same ability, same fault tolerance, without having to actually replicate this on every user's desktop. In addition, servers can leverage things such as NAS, SANs, clustering technology, and things of that nature, which terminal server can basically deliver to the client also. So let's talk real quickly, how can terminal server save time? Well, applications are installed in one location. We saw that. But also, installing applications tend to be a very minor part of an admin's job. But one of the interesting things is people forget is applications need to be maintained, such as software updates. In that type of situation, terminal servers can reduce costs and time by allowing you to do an update at one location only. And not just the application, but the operating system. You do it once, and all the users immediately benefit from that. Deploying a user's desktop can be quick. For example, if you make a template user account, it's not like making a template disk image or a template virtual machine. You just simply log in as that user for the first time, set up the desktop the quick way you want them to set up, and then every user that you want on top of that, you just simply copy his home folder over to a new user account, and voila, that user now has access to that system. So it's much, much quicker and much, much easier to maintain. People forget that when you set up disk images or virtual machines, you have to revisit them to apply updates, patches, or even to install a new application or remove an application that you may decide down the road to not have. In a terminal server environment, it's very, very quick and rapid to do that. Client failures can be fixed by swapping clients out. We talked about that real briefly. For example, without any pre-setup whatsoever, a client can be swapped out usually in 5 to 10 minutes. And that's with taking a thin client out of a box, shrink-wrapped, without no setup ahead of time, and plugging it in and getting it working. Having mirrored disks on the servers means that the clients can also take advantage of mirrored disks. Also, RAID 5 for performance reasons and fault tolerance. Again, clients can take advantage of that. SANs and NAS and things of that nature. Again, they can take advantage of that. Application compatibility. In general, most applications work out of the box, but there are some that don't. For example, unfortunately, the iLife and iWork suites from Apple do not work in a terminal server environment. But things such as Microsoft Office, OpenOffice, Adobe Creative Suites, FileMaker, VMware Fusion, MYOB, QuickBooks, Safari, Firefox, OmniGraffle, and several other applications. Basically, we found that our compatibility is about 98%. Most applications will work. The only way to really find out is to try it yourself. And that's why we have evaluation of versions available on our website. External integration. Well, Aqua Connect can actually be integrated into other stuff that's outside of the server, and the client and the users can actually leverage that as if they had local access to it themselves. Again, SANs, NAS, file servers are just one example. Aqua Connect can actually be used specifically with the home folders mounted over NFS, AFP, SMB, or on a NAS, SAN, and so forth. Aqua Connect can also integrate in directory services such as Open Directory, Active Directory, even Open LDAP, or other non-Mac-friendly directory services environments can actually be integrated with the Aqua Connect. Aqua Connect Terminal Server can be managed by Apple's Workgroup Manager. So again, we integrate in the entire operating system to such a low level in the kernel that even most of the Apple admin tools work. I say most because Apple Workgroup Manager, for example, has control over sharing. Users do not have ability to share out folders. An administrator has to do that. So the Workgroup Manager is a non-point on that point. Licensing and requirements. I'm going to talk real briefly about this, but we require that the Apple Mac OS X server be the host operating system for this. Unlimited client connections is recommended strongly. Basically, you need one per physical server. So if you have 10 servers, you need 10 copies of Mac OS X server unlimited. Now, if you were to purchase Excerpts from Apple's store through your reseller, the chances are that it comes with Mac OS X server unlimited already in the box. Aqua Connect Terminal Server license key, you'll need that. Of course, the Aqua Connect Terminal Server product itself. The Aqua Connect Terminal Server during installation time unlocks itself by contacting our licensing server, so you'll need internet access, or you'll need, for closed networks, we do sell a Aqua Connect license key server, which is a separate unlock server for that. And unlike virtualization and Windows Terminal Server, there's no extra OS vendor licenses needed from Apple, Microsoft, or anybody else to that nature. So all you need is to purchase our licensing, Mac OS X Server Unlimited, and you're set to go.